Hello and welcome to another Field Focus. This week we've been talking about business models, but I'm actually going to do a little diversion because it's something that's important and we've not addressed yet here in the Authors Academy, but it's something that is evolving as we speak due to, I suppose, a number of reasons. So what on earth am I talking about? I'm talking about we're going to just park the business model and look at distribution, your publishing and distribution of your book. Now, you might just be at the start of the journey, but this is something I want to, if that's the case, I want to plant the seed so you can be aware of it. You don't need to focus on it quite at this moment. But if you're watching this and you're already published, then this is something that we're informing all of you about just now. So it's very hot off the press. And I just felt I wanted to use this opportunity to talk about that publishing and distributing your newly published book. So as you know, when you come to us, we talk about being professionally published, just the way you would be if you were had a publishing deal with a traditional publishing. So we pride ourselves on high quality as a partnership, and where we work together, you know, where you drive and we navigate, you know. So we are helping you navigate this author's adventure. So part of that means that we, your ISBNs are worldwide for your book. You need one for every format of the book that you publish, whether it's hardback, ebook, or a paperback. Each one deserves is entitled to have its own ISBN number. You don't just use one for all three formats, you use different one. And then if you have an audiobook, you'll have another one. So it's important that you know that, and because they are sourced from the world book trade, you know they're recognised by the book trade. So that's the shops all over the world, whether it's big shops like Barnes and Noble, Waterstones, and Booktopia, or it's small individual bookstores around the world. They recognise these books via their ISBN, which is quite different to self-publishing because it's limited in its reach. Of course, Amazon is also global, but it still limits you, because there are people who just won't buy off Amazon. But the other side of the coin is there are lots of people who do buy off Amazon. So it depends on people's attitude to authors and to getting their books. So, you know, if we go to supermarkets, we can buy books for, you know, Richard Osman. I bought 2 books for £8, right? Because I know as a publisher that poor author's getting 2p a copy royalty, and the publishing house are keeping all the made money because they've invested in him and gave him a probably a good publishing deal. Not only that, the other thing, and this is a lesson I want you to really learn. These people who, because people go, I want it to be in supermarkets, I want it to be here. You're not making much money. The publisher's making the money. I don't want to be making money on your behalf. I want you to be making the money. That's why we work the way that we work. So therefore, yeah, it's great. It's a great feeling to see your book in shops and everything, but it's not the most effective and important way to make money from your book. So anyway, let's leave that because that's another conversation. I just want to make you aware. So let's look at, you have this ISBN number and you can, your book is available. So up until recently, we, at first it was, we put it up and it was print on demand. So it would be through Nielsen, through Amazon, only the Kindle as part of KDP. And that's where we were for the first year. And we were very blessed and fortunate to get taken on by Gardner's, who's the distributor in the UK, who's the top distributor distribution company. There's other companies, but Gardner's is the top one. And they now have, they've spread their wings and are now in America, Canada, Europe. So that's all been new in the last 12 months for them. So that makes it even better for us. But they tend to deal with the physical book. So that meant you would print books. So you might print 100, 200, whatever it was, 300, whatever you needed, depending on who you are and what you do and all of that. And then we would be shipping them to Gardeners when they would send in an email saying we want 15 books, we want 3 books, we want 200 books, So they would be determining the number of books based on sales that were coming through them. Now, what was happening, because we give royalties twice a year at the moment, and there's news coming on that, and I don't want to just go into that too much at the moment. So it meant you would maybe buy these books to get them sold, and you'd be out this money. And if your book was selling a lot, you'd be out quite a bit of money always buying these books, because you couldn't tell what was going to be print and demand and what was going to be used from consignment, it's called, with Gardeners. So already you're probably feeling a bit print and demand, consignment, physical books that you buy from a printer, better quality books than print and demand. But you were the use of both streams. Kindle was KDP and Amazon. And Amazon would get the books either from, when somebody bought a book on Amazon, they would either get the book from Gardner, or it would be triggered to come from print and demand, which we use as a lightning source. So that's the big print and demand service as well. But then that was becoming a bit of a headache. So we obviously took a lot of time out, and we investigated, well, what can we do? Because quite rightly, it was becoming an issue, particularly if you were being successful with your book sales. So we thought, well, because we're not getting that money, because it takes a few months before the money starts to come in. It takes at least 3 months before we start to see a return of all these books. So we thought, right, what can we do instead? So we spoke with Gardeners, and they then informed us that this was becoming an issue for small publishers like us. It's not an issue for the big boys, because they can order tens and 50,000 books at a time. They have their own warehouses. Some of them have their own distribution channels. So therefore, it's not an issue for them. But it's an issue for small companies like us, So that's not good for our authors. So we thought, well, it's very difficult to explain. It takes a while to get your head around it. It took me quite a while. So thank God for Sarah, who'd been working in the production side of publishing for 15 years. So thank God, because I tell you, it would be a nightmare otherwise. So, and this is why we've got great experience in the team. We've all got our strengths. So therefore, the good news, and this is what I want to tell you today, the good news is that Gardeners are now able to use a print and demand service. So Gardeners will use consignment and print on demand, which is brilliant for us, because from next month, the majority of our books are going on to print on demand. Now, it will not negate the necessity for wanting some physical books. So we go to the printer, but what it will negate is you having to order maybe 150, 200 books at a time. You can order 30 books. If you need anything less, we could maybe do them print on demand, but you should always have a small amount of books, because if you're in business, you need to be going to events, you need to be holding your own events, you need to be selling books, you need to be getting speaking gigs and talking and selling your book there, and work with the organisers of speaking. We'll talk about this in more detail as well. Get them to, so let's say they've got an event for 200 people, get them to include in the price for you a copy of the book. So you need to order 200 books, you're going to make profit, The profit when you sell printed books is at least 70 to 75%. Better than getting like 20%, 15 to 20% when you do print and demand. So it's economics. So my advice and recommendation, please let's use both. will use print on demand to stop you having to fork out so much money up front before you start to see a return. So print on demand will avoid that. Equally, if you want to make more money and you want to use it as part of a lead magnet, so if you've got a lead magnet, if you're speaking, if you're at an event, then you'll need the physical books then and there for people to purchase. So that's the big news, which is great, because it's going to avoid you having to buy lots of books. Not that we encouraged our authors to buy lots of, like, hundreds and hundreds of books. We went from anything from 50 to 200. And again, 200 would only be for people who knew they were having events and all of that kind of thing. So they knew they would be able to shift the 200 quickly. But you should always have a handful of books at home, because you want to be giving them to, you want to be gifting them to people who are going to open doors. So like bloggers, like, oh my goodness, the word's going out my head, influencers, like people in the media, people who you know will open a door of opportunity. So for example, this is me drifting into another topic, but let's just go back to it quickly. I used to work with Mona Woz, and he was a chief business coach for the top 100 FTSE companies here in the UK. And when he was wanting to get more work around coaching companies and their workforce and their management teams, he had a book, and he would send the book, handwritten note, to the CEO of the company saying, "Hi, I know that your business does this." So he showed great insight that he'd researched this company. I'm gifting you a copy of my book because I think there's something in there that would benefit you and your business. So therefore, of course, the personal touch makes a huge difference rather than a cold email. They would get the book, they might read a bit of it, they might put it down for a bit, then they would lift it. But his business just went astronomical because of that approach. So that's why you should always have some author copies of your book sitting at home, no more than a box full. So 20 books at a time, 20, 30 books at a time. I would say you should have a box full of books that you can use. You can sell them, you can give them away, you know, you can gift them, whatever you want to do, but always have a small box so that you're not having to fork out a lot of money. And that's the whole point of this. So good news, moving on into 2024, we will no longer be asking our authors to buy hundreds of books. Not that we really did anyways, I keep impressing, but you know that now you have the opportunity, but you have to make a decision. Do I want to make more money through physical copies of the book that I sell, that I'm going to post out myself, or use for events, or am I quite happy to get my 15% royalty? So these are the questions you will be asking yourself, because all these people who are selling your book on your behalf, they're taking 55 to 60%. So just to let you know that, so gardeners take 55%, for example. Print on demand can be anything between 55 and 60%. It fluctuates. So there we have it, a bit of production today, a bit more about the good news about you not having to worry about having all these printed books, because we've just another lesson that came about that if you've got an event, this is why you need some books. We've just had an issue with an author because they wanted books, but the event was the time scale. We need 3 weeks, but the times it was just on the 3-week cusp, and we knew getting physical books and shipping them overseas was going to be an issue. And so therefore we looked at this print on demand using Amazon. But again, takes up to 3 weeks. But fortunately, good news, she's got them in good time. We're getting them 7 to 10 days early. Whew. So fantastic. But you don't know that at the time, so it can create anxiety, obviously, when they give you one date, you go, but I need them before that date. But, you know, experience will soon teach you that even although they say the 21st, you're going to get them on the 17th, for example, you're going to get them 5 days early. There we go. That's it. That's what I've got to tell today. Not quite business model, but I did quite a full business model field focus on Tuesday, which you can watch the replay, and yeah, we'll get down to that. So there we have it. So this is Brenda saying, be brilliant. Christmas is coming. Get marketing that book. Get those sales up. We've sent you a meme to help, a digital asset to help in the promotion of that. Need any other help, just email us, give us a call, see what we can do to help you. But make sure you use the one-page marketing campaign that will help keep you focused. Don't write it down. Don't have a scattergun approach. You need, so in other words, you do need to write down, have a focused approach as opposed to not writing it down in a scattergun approach. That's what I was trying to say there. So until next time, this is Brenda saying, be brilliant. Much love. To the bit.